Tenemos el honor de tener en el Consejo General de Trabajo Social de España al presidente de la Federación Internacional de Trabajo Social, a Joachim Mumba. Es su casa, es la Casa del Trabajo Social de España, y hemos querido compartir con él reflexiones y análisis sobre los desafíos y los escenarios nuevos y tan nuevos a los que se enfrenta el trabajo social en este momento geopolítico donde están pasando situaciones desde las políticas neoliberales e incluso iliberales que están aconteciendo en el espacio mundial, ¿no? Así que un honor para esta profesión, para el trabajo social de nuestro país, contar con las aportaciones de Joachim Mumba, nuestro presidente. Así que pasaremos a compartirlas con toda la profesión. Nos acompaña Joachim Mumba, presidente de la Federación Internacional de Trabajo Social. Un honor para esta profesión y para este Consejo General acogerlo en esta casa, en la Casa del Trabajo Social de España, a nuestro presidente, al presidente de todos los y las trabajadoras sociales del mundo. Vamos a conversar con él, vamos a charlar, vamos a compartir sobre algunos aspectos que son verdaderamente interesantes desde esta mirada y esta perspectiva del mundo, desde esta perspectiva global, de en qué momento y cómo está la profesión, cómo la vemos desde el marco de la Federación Internacional de Trabajo Social. Así que, Joaquín, un placer tenerte en esta casa. Es un honor para el trabajo social de España que nos acompañes y poder compartir esta mañana contigo. Se cumplen 15 años desde la Agenda Global, desde su lanzamiento en el 2010. En este sentido, ¿cuáles han sido los principales logros y los aspectos que aún se presentan como desafíos de esta Agenda Global?
Yeah, so, IFSW was born in, about almost 100 years ago, together with the other two tripartite partners, that is the International Association of Schools of Social Work and the International Council on Social Welfare. So from the time these three organizations were born, we've really been struggling in terms of, gelling together. And so since 2010, we took a deliberate step to kind of come up with, the one movement, and which was brought about what we're calling the Global Agenda on Social Work and Social Development. And so this really has been very transformative. And so we've actually been working together, coming up with a global theme that rallies all the social workers across the globe together. And then we come up with, themes that unify us. And so, of course, we've had, a number of key achievements. And these include strengthening the profession globally, and also raising, the global voice for the profession, and also promoting community participation and indigenous knowledge. You may be aware, Emmy, that sometime, I think it was in 2020, there was a theme called Ubuntu. And then 2024, we were rallying behind the theme called Buen Vivir, which of course you are familiar with because I think it's informed by this Spanish origin. And then of course we've been doing things jointly as the three tripartite bodies. Just last week, we had a joint declaration called the Ronda Declaration. And in 2022 also we had the People's Charter on the eco-social world. So all these have been joint initiatives wanting to bring together social workers across the globe. So yes, the global agenda is really moving ahead and uniting social workers across the globe.
Joaquín, hacía referencia a Ubuntu, ¿no? En este nuevo ciclo que estamos de la Agenda Global, ¿no? 2020-2030, estamos justo en la mitad de ese periodo, donde estamos viendo importantes transformaciones que están en el marco de los, dijéramos, ecosistemas del bienestar social. Y hace referencia a la filosofía, al lema de Ubuntu, ¿no? A esta mirada de cómo yo soy porque nosotros somos, ¿no? Este lema que la FIS puso en abierto en años anteriores y que habla de esta relación con la comunidad, esta parte de que la colectividad y estas políticas públicas que tienen como referencia la visión también global de las dificultades mundiales, ¿no? ¿Qué papel piensas tú que puede desempeñar el trabajo social ante estas crisis de carácter multidimensional relacionadas con la identidad, ¿no? En este caso de nuestra profesión?
I was saying, in the face of today's dimensional crisis, social, ecological, economic, and identity-related issues, social work actually must act as a catalyst for collective resilience, solidarity, and systemic change, right? So, guided by the Ubuntu philosophy, of course, that comes from Africa as part of what, African social workers brought to the, global north in terms of contribution to the profession, yeah? So, Ubuntu, which is I am because we are, social work should promote interconnectedness, empower communities, and to create solutions and advocate for social and environmental justice. Very important, actually, and profound. So it must help individuals rebuild their sense of belonging through inclusive, participatory practices that affirm human dignity and strengthen social bonds and nature sustainable futures. So really, we feel that the philosophy of Ubuntu brings about the African tastes or the African way of doing things, and we feel that the global north would be able to learn from the way of life of Africans and the way we practice social work under the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah.
Llevamos un tiempo ya desde el marco del trabajo social hablando del trabajo social ecosocial, hablamos de lo ecocomunitario, hablamos, tanto es así que el Congreso Europeo de Trabajo Social, que se celebrará este año en Oslo, tiene como eje vertebrador la parte ecosocial, la parte ecocomunitaria, el ecofeminismo, en un momento donde realmente los cambios climáticos que afectan a la biodiversidad, a las especies en general, realmente tienen un papel de primer orden, poner la atención desde todas las profesiones, pero en particular hablemos de la nuestra, ¿no? Sobre estos aspectos. ¿Cómo entendéis que el trabajo social puede contribuir a esa resiliencia comunitaria en estos procesos de transformación a lo ecosocial, teniendo como horizonte poner atención sobre los colectivos más vulnerables?
My background is I've worked even in HIV programming, and there was a slogan by people living with HIV in my country where they would say, "Nothing about us without us." And that emphasizes aspect of community participation. And so social work can strengthen community resilience and support eco-social transitions by facilitating local participation, and very important, local participation, promoting environmental justice, as well as valuing indigenous knowledge, okay? I just made reference to the Rwanda Declaration that the tripartite, came about with. The emphasis was how does the community participate in issues that affect them? So that we, as social workers, we facilitate for the solicitation of local solutions to address local problems. And that promotes resilience, right? And so in vulnerable territories, social workers help communities adapt to ecological challenges by fostering empowerment, advocating for sustainable resources, and co-creating solutions that respect both people and the environment. So the aspect of participation, the aspect of co-creation and co-building is critical in building resilient, communities.
En estos momentos históricos estamos contemplando cómo se pueden estar poniendo en jaque los derechos humanos. Vivimos un escenario preocupante, ¿no? Sobre todo que afecta a la población inmigrante. La geopolítica está contemplando quizás contradicciones importantes, como decíamos antes, en la parte de lo que es la defensa de la casa común del planeta, pero también de los derechos humanos. ¿Qué acciones contempláis o se pueden estar impulsando desde la FIS para defender los derechos humanos de como siempre, de los colectivos más vulnerables, que es a los que más le afecta?
Yeah, I mean, IFSW and social work as a profession, we are basically a profession that promotes human rights, that stands to defend the rights of those whose rights are being, abused. So IFSW enhances the capacity of social workers to defend human rights and promote social justice by advancing ethical leadership, building solidarity networks, fostering cross-border collaboration, and engaging in advocacy with global bodies such as the UN. And so this we do in different ways. Of course, we may not have the resources to do a big campaign about human rights, to do a lot of things, but of course we, take advantage of the networks and the collaborations that we have with the UN and with other agencies, to promote human rights. But of course, amid conflict, forced migration, and political polarization, the IFSW remains committed to the core principles of dignity, self-determination, and peace building, empowering social workers to serve human rights as human rights defenders, community advocates, and to facilitate inclusive dialogue and social change. And every time that we are engaging in this, of course, it's usually a very delicate sphere to get involved. There are risks in defending or standing up for human rights. So there are risks in promoting social justice, but we do that cautiously so that even the lives of practitioners out there, are protected. So, however, it is important to recognize that the IFSW is not the United Nations, and that it operates within the limits of its expertise and the resources that are available. So often IFSW endorses positions of the United Nations. That is, of course, if they are in line with promoting dignity and human rights. And also we endorse the positions of other humanitarian organizations when they align with social work principles, values, and also the advancement of human rights and social justice. So most times we work within the frame of what already exists, of course, because we don't have, adequate resources to be able to do bigger, huge campaigns in promoting human rights.
Podríamos decir, por tanto, que los principios esenciales del trabajo social, la defensa de los derechos humanos, de la justicia social, de la libertad, de contemplar la individualidad de las personas, pero también desde una perspectiva comunitaria, de cómo reforzarnos y cómo complementarnos como profesión en este entorno mundial, ¿no? Desde la FIS. ¿Cómo contempláis que se pueden ir avanzando en estas dinámicas para seguir defendiendo lo que es nuestro ADN, que es vertebralmente, como decimos, la defensa de las libertades, de los derechos humanos, desde aspectos de solidaridad?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with an African proverb, and I don't know, I love talking about the proverbs from Africa. They really inspire what I do and inspire what I think about, because they provide a lot of wisdom. So there is an African proverb which says, when the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind, right? So as social rights face a rollback and democratic spaces shrink, the international social work must strengthen its roots through solidarity, advocacy, and ethical leadership. And solidarity is important because whenever the rights of the people are being infringed upon, or the rights of social workers are being infringed upon, we need, as a global body, to stand in solidarity with our colleagues in, whichever parts of the world those things are happening. Okay, and so IFSW promotes collective action, and I think if you remember 2023, we were talking about respecting diversity through social action. Social action is very critical, and yes, we need to rally behind collective action as a profession. So partnerships with civil society, human rights campaigns, and global advocacy to resist regression and defend the welfare state. That's very important, as well as ensuring that social justice and dignity remain at the heart of social work practice worldwide. And so when we're talking about the welfare state, I would want to say the welfare society and not necessarily the welfare state. And I think we need to change, the concept from welfare state to welfare society.
Querido Joaquín, para terminar, ¿qué mensaje te gustaría enviarle a las nuevas generaciones de trabajadores y trabajadoras sociales que se están formando en estos momentos?
Yeah. So, thank you so much for that. To new generations of social workers, I just want to say you are vital to shaping a just, inclusive, and sustainable future. And I just want to draw you back, to this year's World Social Work Day theme, which was strengthening intergenerational solidarity. And I think this is actually timely because when we talk about intergenerational solidarity, we're basically talking about how do we bridge the gap between the old generation and the new generation. In this case, we're talking about the new generation of social workers, right? So they ought, or rather you ought to embrace the values of dignity, community, and human rights, and carry forward the struggles of those who came before you, those of us who've come before you as young social workers. And also you ought to build bridges across generations, drawing strength from the wisdom of experience, and while bringing fresh energy and vision. So we need that fresh energy from young social workers. And so if the youth are not initiated, in fact, this is actually, a proverb in Africa. We say if the youth are not initiated into the village, they will burn it down just to feel its warmth. And so it is our role as the old generation of social workers to initiate the young generation, to welcome them into the profession and empower them that they take up the mantle of leadership. So your role is to heal as young social workers, to transform and to lead with compassion and courage. And so we encourage them all to embrace the values of the profession and to carry forward the struggle and building and growing the profession going forward. So I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joaquín. Un placer tenerte en la Casa del Trabajo Social de España.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.